As I continue to see people impacted by layoffs, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the first 5 things that you should do if you're laid off. There are some things you should do before you even start the job search. And you know that my specialty as a recruiter is to focus on job search. But before you even start the job search, there are a few things that you need to do. So number 1, understand your benefits and severance. This is a pretty big deal to get your arms around. If you're leaving the workplace, you have to make sure that you understand exactly what the company you're leaving has done for you and when your severance begins and when your time working. Oftentimes there will be a 6-week notice period that the company gives you, and you can take advantage of that notice period quite a bit. So understand exactly what the timeline is of when you exit, when you leave, and what the stipulations are for you in order to collect your severance. Now, if you think that for some reason the severance that you've been given is inadequate, you can ask for more severance. You can negotiate your severance, believe it or not. You can certainly go back and say, hey, here are the reasons why. And the way that you negotiate your severance is that you talk about the benefits that you've added to the organizations, the way that you've added value, and the fact that you think that much of the value that you have added will live far beyond your tenure with the company, and you deserve a larger amount of severance as a result of that. You ultimately will be asked to sign a release, a document in order to receive your severance. That document you have to sign is typically an exit document, and what they're looking for is some sort of legal release for you to say that you will not pursue them legally. You've been given everything that you are expecting to get, and that you will not sue them in court for some reason. When you sign this, you're signing away your rights ultimately. So be very careful when you're signing these documents. Second thing you need to do is, as soon as you can, go and file for unemployment. Now, there may be a waiting period when your benefits kick in, when you exit, whatever that time period is. You may have to wait for a little while. In Texas, where I am, there's a week wait before you collect anything. File for that unemployment as quickly as possible. It oftentimes will take a little bit of time to get moving in their processes, but you can find the unemployment that's available where you live simply by Googling it. So how do I file for unemployment in Texas, where I am, in Maryland, in London? So simply Google that. It will be made available to you, and go through their process. It's sometimes a little bit confusing, actually, as it's been described to me. I've had to help a couple of different people walk through the process, and it's not very straightforward. So do that as a starting point. That's the second thing you do. The third thing is get your arms around your finances. At this point, you know how much time you have left at the company. You know what your severance is. You know the company gave you maybe 6 weeks of severance. So you have 6 weeks worth of pay coming your way. So what do you do between now and then? How are your finances stacked up given the severance that you have? And how many weeks do you have to find a job? The finances piece really sets your clock. The other thing is look for other income opportunities. Look for ways that you can sort of have your side hustles kick in, and you can start pulling more money out of a separate business that you may have set up. Are there places where you saved money? Pull all of that into your overall financial picture. Understand what your timeline is in order to find a new job. This is very important. This will ultimately relieve your stress and help you understand exactly how long you have until you're in real trouble. It also tells you how quickly you need to accept something. So you may be willing to accept a job that's not as good of a job, but it's really fast because your finances require it. So assess your finances. You want to take a look at if you have a reduced income. Is there a spouse that works, a partner that works? Where can you cut back? So you go through your bank accounts, look at your subscription services, what can you turn off, and do that super fast. Like that's the first place where you can impact your ultimate longevity on this limited set of funds before they end, is to pull out some expenses. So you're wanting to prioritize expenses. Of course, things like rent, utilities, groceries, healthcare. Those things go first. If you have an emergency fund, good on you. That's helpful. A lot of people will have an emergency fund and not realize when they're actually in an emergency. Being laid off, that qualifies. You can use your emergency fund and not feel guilty about it. That's what it's there for. So use that emergency fund. And then if there are assets that can be liquidated, so maybe you have an extra car, you don't need that car payment. If there are loans that you could take, if you're in an extremely long situation, do you need a reverse mortgage of some sort? There are things that you can do in order to elongate your time frame. So assess your finances fully and completely. Next is healthcare. So in the US, everyone is offered COBRA. Outside of the US, it's not as big of a deal. So in the US, everyone is offered COBRA in order to pay for their healthcare. Here's what I'll tell you. COBRA is really, really expensive. That said, it's the best option in most cases for healthcare. So there are not many less expensive options than COBRA. And it's oftentimes wise to go ahead and take COBRA. The way COBRA works, typically you'll need to read your documentation that you get from the company. But typically you get 60 days to opt in, meaning you can go until that deadline or just before that deadline for opt-in without signing up for anything, and maybe use this as a little bit of an in-between time. If you're going to be sort of 1 month between jobs and you got 60 days to opt into COBRA, you can always opt into COBRA, even if you have some sort of illness that shows up where you would have needed that. You can always opt in. Remember, this is it's nearly a mortgage payment, the cost of COBRA. So just know that it's very, very expensive, and it needs to be factored into your finances when you assess them. It's not worth it to go without. So go ahead and get the healthcare, keep COBRA, even though it's painful to do. And then finally, number 5, the 5th thing that you do is start the job search. Now, the job search is really important here, and there's a couple of things to know. 1, the company has laid you off. You have no obligations to finish what you were working on. There's nothing that you were doing there that you should have some sort of pride of ownership and completing or anything like that. It doesn't matter. Get out of there as fast as possible. If you're asked to stick around for a number of weeks, do only what is required during that time. Your main job, your full-time job, is finding a new job. That is what you're supposed to be doing. No one has an expectation that you do more. Now, the company may want you to do more, but don't. Your job, do exactly what's requested of you. Nothing more, nothing less. Secure your severance through those actions. They will give you a documentation that tells you exactly what's expected of you. Do that work, but then start your job search. I have lots of options on what to do with a job search, lots of ideas for you. There's a couple of important things to look at, and I'm going to link to a couple of videos. One is the end-to-end hiring process, just so that you know what that is. And if you want a copy of a visual for this, it's available on my site for free, execcongress.com/hired. And then the other thing is, really the starting point for all of this is you've got to update your resume. And I have another video on your resume, how to amplify your resume, that I'll link to here at the end of this video as well. You've really got to do that. I have documentation on the best ways to amplify your resume at execcongress.com/resume. So these are free to you. You can go and grab those. I don't make money off of this YouTube channel at all. So that is an option that's available to you. Go and take advantage of it. Listen, I know this is a scary time. I know it's a hard time. It's something that I've been through in my career, and it is just not something that feels good in any way. It feels terrible. And what I'll tell you is this. I oftentimes, most of the time, see people coming out ahead in these situations. And this oftentimes will end up in a very, very positive place. So I know it can feel like it's the end of the world. It really does. I feel like the ultimate rejection. It feels like when you were in elementary school and they were picking the kickball team, they didn't pick you, or you got picked last. It's just an awful, awful feeling. I know. I agree. It is. You've got to do these 5 things to protect yourself. Go over those one more time. Understand benefits and severance. Know exactly what's required of you. Don't do a single thing more than what's required. File for unemployment. Get that done really quickly. That will help your finances. Assess your finances. Get your expenses in control and your priorities locked in. Figure out your healthcare situation. And finally, number 5, start that job search. Best of luck to you in your search. It's a tough time. I know it's very difficult. You're going to make it through. You're going to come out ahead. It's going to be better than it was before.